you start a meeting and then somebody kind of cuts you off and they're like, listen, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
They're like, I got late to the game or I went through a divorce or something bad happened and I'm starting over. And it's almost like they're embarrassed. And I'm like, why are you embarrassed? Don't be that way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Like, you're 50 years old, you don't have much, you got less than $100,000, $50,000, and you're like, I'm never going to retire. Well, you still can. All right, so before we jump into today's show,
we got two things.
What's the first one?
Subscribe.
And the second one is welcome to the new studio.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, Brian crushed it. This is such a fun new space. It feels like a completely different show now to me.
Yep.
It's much more warm.
We actually have a third thing. It's a three-peat here.
What's
that?
Your new book. Over your shoulder.
Yeah, just launched this month, which is exciting. So if you haven't bought it yet, go buy it.
Give us the elevator pitch.
It's called Money Work. It's basically the logical and emotional side to investing. It's put your money to work so you don't have to is a subtitle called Money Work. But basically the nuts and bolts of the book is there's two sides to investing. We think we're logical investors, but we're like 85% emotional.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're like, oh yeah, that was such a logical decision. You look back and you're like, why did I do that? It's like, because you're emotional.
Yes.
So
it's hard to separate.
It addresses that whole thing in there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So all right, so today we're going to be talking about, listen, we've all had these clients in our office. We've all had, you start a meeting and then somebody kind of cuts you off and they're like, listen, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
They're like, I got late to the game or I went through a divorce or something bad happened and I'm starting over. And it's almost like they're embarrassed. And I'm like, why are you embarrassed? Don't be that way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Like, you're 50 years old, you don't have much, you got less than $100,000, $50,000, and you're like, I'm never going to retire. Well, you still can. And we're going to kind of talk through that today. And I know we already said it, so we're going to do this twice. Subscribe to the show. And okay, so where do we really begin in that? Like, first of all, let's address the emotional side to this. Somebody's coming into your office, or you're at home, and you're like, I don't have anything. You're looking at this mountain, and you're thinking, everybody says I need $1 million, which we just talked about that in another show.
Right. And
that's a myth.
really enough, but that's a whole other show.
That's enough. That's a myth.
Yeah.
You don't need $1 million. It's all your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you're like, I don't know what I need to get this big mountain. How do you get over just that feeling of that?
Well, I would say the first thing is acknowledging the fact that you're there, right? Because so many people
You're where?
That you're looking up at the mountaintop and you've got a little bit of work to do, and you've got to. What do they say? The first thing of recognizing where you're at, or the first step to fixing a problem is recognizing where you're at.
You have a problem.
Yeah, admitting you have a problem. And we joke about it because so many of the things that we're admitting are pretty deep, right? We think of some different things, which I won't even bring up because I'll get in trouble that I may have a drinking problem. But, you have people who are in different
states. Up again.
I know, I couldn't help it. People are in different
bring it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to bring it up, but now it's right here. Might as well let you start picking on me now instead of later in the show.
Actually, the Coke can behind, or the Pepsi can behind you is not really Pepsi.
Oh.
What is it?
I'm not even entertaining. I am letting that go. But no, on a serious note, I feel like so often we talk about that, and it's related to health things, or it's related to having a sinful issue, right? And a lot of times with money, people, they're living their life, they're recognized, they feel like they're okay because they know how to earn money. But at a certain point, when that earned money spigot goes off and they haven't saved anything, they're like, wait a minute, I'm pretty good at what I do, but I'm no longer doing that thing. Don't pick on me for that. But I was expecting you to tie into our previous week's conversation. But no, just because you know how to earn income now doesn't mean you'll have that income stream in retirement if you don't plan ahead. So where I'm going with that is the first step is to recognize that you need to start saving for your future, despite what income you have coming in right now.
Yeah, that's the hardest, because I feel like most people, will look at their money and go, well, I don't have enough to live, let alone save. So why bother?
Why bother? Yeah.
I'm just going to have to work forever. So that is cancer. That's a bad mindset, because I've had multiple clients come into my office in tears going, I'm never going to retire. This last issue destroyed me. what am I going to do? And we're like, well, we're just going to start building today.
Right now.
Right.
Like what's that saying? The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best is now. Like, let's just start. So where do they start? What's the first question you have to answer?
What do you need?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say,
We're
And
trying
it's
to live
not
on
the
it.
million, right? Like we were saying.
Well, I mean, everybody's
be,
different.
right.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing you got to know is everybody, with very few exceptions, they do have an income shortfall when they walk in, no matter how much they've
Right.
saved. There's still a gap from where they want to be and what they have. So you've got to quit thinking that maybe you're the only one and
Right.
have some comfort in the fact that 95% of the people are in the exact same situation.
Give yourself
as you
some
are.
grace.
Yeah.
Cal, we totally cut you off.
no, you're good. No, I was just, I mean, kind of piggybacking on yours and a little bit what Kyle was saying is that you got to get the problem out in the open, right? And you have to talk to a professional about this. So it's like, I think it's really easy
Like a
for us to keep
psychologist?
Therapy over here. Get the problem out. Talk to a professional.
Well, I am the elder statesman in here. I'm the only
You
one
are the one.
qualified.
I was going to say, you
I'm
are
50 years
in the
old.
50s. Really, this episode's about Cal.
That's right. That's correct. Thank you. I appreciate that. And all my stuff behind me.
I love it.
No, but I think it's just really easy to to your point of keeping your mouth shut, not admitting, hey, this is what's going on. And the reality is all of us, started behind where we want to be in most cases. So it's like,
Right.
hey, let me talk to somebody and say, this is what I really have. And a lot of times that person, that advisor, that coach, whoever is going to find things that you don't even realize that you have, whether it's a 401k that you forgot that you contributed to or whatever it may be. And there's usually some silver lining in there that you can start with, but you can only start with that is if you lay it out and talk to somebody about it. And I think that's an easy thing for people to
Absolutely.
hide behind.
So how much income do I need and how do I begin building it? Is if you want to put an actual sentence together or two questions, that's it. So let's kind of dig into those. So how do you figure out how much income you need?
Well, you take exactly what you're trying to live on. So let's say it's $100,000. And then what do you already have that's going to be part of your retirement? Some people, for a lot of people, it's just Social Security. For others, you may have a pension or something like that. But, if you're wanting to live on 100 and you got 30,000 of Social Security coming in, that gap shortfall is what we call it, is $70,000 a year. So, all right, now we got to take what you've already saved or what you're going to save, and let's start piecing it together to see how do we cover that shortfall.
I hate to bring up the budget word, but I got to quickly sneak it in. You got to know what you're spending today and what you may want. And I call it your run rate, but what are you spending today without muscle of trying to save? Like where are you comfortable, right? And then what do you want to change in retirement? Do you want a second home? Do you want to travel to your kids and build that into what you need? But you've got to have a very strong understanding of how much income you need in retirement for you, not for us, but first identify that number so that you can live what you want. Don't try to tell us it's a lower number because it's, that's only hurting you.
So there's a couple of thoughts I have there. And that last one was an interesting one as far as don't tell us the smaller number, because you'll get that, you're in this situation, whether you need a psychologist or not, where you're just like,
therapist.
yeah, where you're just like, I'm never going to be able to retire. So I'm just going to say I'm going to retire on less. Because that's the only way I'm going to be able to get to retire is if I don't need anything. I would call that survival income. Now, to go back to your budget, or even, I would actually rebuttal what you said, because what you're saying is how we typically retire. And that makes perfect logical sense. But this is somebody who's behind the eight ball. It's not like, what's my income and how do I achieve it? Because they might be able to do it at like 88, So, and that's not that you can't, but it might just, the timeline to get to that math might be really far out. So I'd say, well, because, we're starting very late, it might not be the ideal budget. It might be a survival budget or a survival budget plus. So, and it's not that you're wrong or you're right or anybody's wrong. It's what's that minimal number that we can get to? It's not the ideal number.
I never said ideal either.
Yeah. Well, if you're living on $100,000, or whatever, what you're spending today, even in retirement, it might be less than what you're spending today. So, and that's not necessarily what you want to hear, but that might be the truth. And that's the hard part about financial planning. So I would dig into the budget and I'd strip away everything. I'd strip away travel, all the fun, and just see what that number is. And then what's the math behind getting to that? Because what's going to happen there, in my opinion, is hope.
Right.
It's like, okay, if I could retire on this, then we're like, well, what if we could creep it up to this plus, and then maybe we're getting closer to how we normally plan? You want to say
I'm going to get
so
picked on for this one, and my
Here we
clients
go.
out there know it, but there's a line for freedom on a lot of my clients' budgeting sheet, right? There's a line for freedom. So when you're about to go out and do something before you were, went through therapy and said, you know what, I realize I've got a problem and I need to start saving for retirement. Some of those things that were the nice to haves, but they're not bringing, I'll give a shout out, collecting beautiful moments. They might not be what you have to live the life that you want now, even now, forget the future. So when you are going to go spend that money on things that could go away because you got a little bit of a late start, align that freedom, call it freedom. And there's something about, instead of the restaurant, instead of going out and getting something that maybe you didn't need, the jet ski, just put that line item that instead of putting it next to the word jet ski, put it next to the word freedom. And you're buying freedom. You're investing in freedom. You're budgeting for freedom.
Do you really want a jet ski?
I don't, but my most recent client, he knows who he is. I had to talk him out of buying a jet ski. And I'm not saying it's terrible. If you want a jet ski, by golly, go get it. But don't do it because it sounds good and because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do because you just got a raise.
Take a breath. Take a breath. You're turning red.
Yes.
Oh my word.
Sorry, guys. Imagine that. Nikki's passionate and crazy. But I do, it's a little dorky, but it's actually kind of resonating with a few of the folks that come in and say, after 20 minutes, I'm like, we just went through this whole thing and now we're going to change that number. And they're like, well, I see where you're going and I want to be honest. I was embarrassed.
You know what's interesting about the word, not word freedom, but what you just said that resonated with me. And I was thinking about this the other day. As a parent raising, 3 boys, very competitive boys, as a competitive boy myself.
Came by it honestly.
They learned it from their mom. So what's interesting is when we first started having kids, you have lifestyle creep, right? As God blesses more, you tend to spend a little bit more. And when we were young parents, the amount of toys our kids had wasn't nearly as much as it was as they were getting older. And what we noticed is when our kids had less toys, our kids fought less. The more toys there were, the more opportunity there was to fight over stuff. And when we moved here, we did a toy purge. We had our kids grab all their toys and we put them into the playroom, literally from their rooms, from the basement. We put them in the playroom, and we're like, okay, which 7 do you want to keep? They had hundreds.
Right.
We had 9 bags of toys that we donated, and we're like, okay, we want you to identify toys that we want you to give away that you like. We want toys that you want to donate. And we want toys that you just want to keep. It was very difficult exercise to go through. It was healing. Our kids viewed toys completely different after that exercise. Because I think Steph and I just got to this point where
we're done.
We have to, and we need to go back to simple. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. And I felt like my kids experienced freedom for one of the rare times in their life where less was way more. And sometimes when we're talking about their survival or the minimal, it's actually better. We think more is just better, but in some circumstances, it's actually just more. And I can remember moving into my very first house. My very first apartment. We were married a year, and we didn't have furniture, and we had Dolly's Pizza. There's only 2 locations. So good though. And Dolly's Pizza in Michigan, and we had Dolly's Pizza in our apartment with a candle. And we had no furniture. We had a bedspread. We didn't even have a dresser. We didn't have a couch or a kitchen table or anything. And we had a candle and a pizza, pepperoni pizza from Dolly's. And it was one of my favorite memories. And it impacted us so much. Every home that we've moved into since, the first night, we sit on the floor with a pizza. And we've done that 3 times now. And we don't want to ever change it. Hopefully we're not going to be moving anytime again. But if we do, there will be a pizza and a candle. And I think simplicity sometimes is just the best recipe for freedom, for life. And I don't want us to look at this and go, well, I can only retire if it's $3,000 a month. And who can live on $3,000 a month? There's a lot of people out there that can live very comfortable.
And some of the happiest people that I know, if I have to,
I'll actually say some of my wealthier, like really wealthy clients, and when I mean wealth, I mean happy, don't have that much assets. And I know a lot of people with a lot of money that are miserable. And I know a lot of people with not very much money that are super happy. And what we're talking about here is retirement. It's being able to retire and not worry or stress about money. And you can do that at any level. So there's a lot of hope in what we're talking about. First thing is figuring out what that number is. Second thing is building towards it. It's an aggression. It's like, I need to save and save hard.
Yep.
Like, how do we start building that up? And 1 turns into 2 and 2 turns into 3. And, there might be debt involved. We're not really going to get into that conversation today. But what happens over time, and I will never forget having some of these conversations with clients when they're on the threshold of retirement. And I remember one where there was two people at work. One had a lot of money and one had hardly any. And the person with hardly any, because of really smart contributions and really smart plan, was aggressive. This person retired before this person. And this person has been retired for many years. And this person's still working. And we've had many conversations, and it's really lifestyle creep and the fact that they're not going to achieve what they want to achieve. And we just set out a plan on this side, and it took 7 years to retire. And they've been retired for many years, and they're very happy. And some people look at their income going, how in the world are you doing it? And it's been great.
There's income and there's wealth too. So I have a lot of clients that have a lot of income coming in, but their net worth is even higher. You'd have no idea what they have. They're very happy. They're
well below their
There's
needs.
things that you don't see when you're driving past their house per se. I'm not saying a gorgeous home is not amazing, but that freedom comes a little later, or you have to work a little harder. You have to set a little more money aside, the more you have to pay for. So I think it's very important just to clarify, it's not what you bring in, it's what you keep
spend.
and what you invest, right? It's not it's what you have to show for it. It's wealth instead of income. And I feel like sometimes, and I'll speak for some of my clients, some very high performing clients, they bring in quite a bit of money. And sometimes I think that is almost a curse because they get used to living on that lifestyle. They don't have a fear of money in a lot of cases. So like, I can just go make it. But at a certain point, you now have a lifestyle that you've created that's going to be darn expensive in retirement. And if you haven't saved for it, it could catch you. So I just wanted to clarify the difference between income and wealth, because there is a big, huge difference.
Thanks.
Yes.
That was great clarification.
I'm here for you.
So how do you invest? Like, was there any way that would be better than another if you're going to invest those contributions?
I don't know. We've talked about it a couple times.
Yeah,
We need
I was
cricket
saying,
sounds. We need some
it's
cricket
like,
sounds.
where do you-
Have you ever heard us talk about maybe dividend payers?
Oh, dividends. We should do dividends. Okay, so for somebody who's just starting out, even if it's at an older age and they're investing in dividends, what's the best part about dividends that can help somebody achieve retirement status from an income standpoint that you couldn't get with, say, growth or mutual fund?
It's got the drip.
Yeah.
What is that?
So that's that dividend reinvestment. So especially while you're still saving, you've got the cash dividends that these companies are paying that you can just automatically turn on to reinvest back into your account, which is going to buy more shares. So it's putting what you're saving plus a little bit extra that's in there, and it's buying more and more shares.
So let's just say you
Without
put in
even putting-
50,000 to start. That's all you had, every dime to your name. So it's 50,000. What's the dividend? It's at 5% is what? $2,500.
$500.
So these companies in these stocks, these dividend companies are going to write a check collectively for $2,500, whether you invest in their dime or not. So your shares, you bought however many shares with 50,000 next year, you're going to have, regardless of the value, you'll have $2,500 more worth of shares.
Mm-hmm.
And then the year after that, you're going to have $125 more, so $2,625 the next year, and then that keeps
You're not even
compounding
counting
and
that
compounding.
dividend, even if you didn't reinvest.
Plus
Just
the
that
growth.
dividend growing.
Right.
That's the part that's so.
Yeah.
So the
awesome.
part
Pick the
that can
right
help on the
companies.
dividend side with a new investor, even if at an older age, is the fact that it's like a predictable
Predictable.
contribution
Highly predictable.
every single year. and that compounds over time. So as you add money, there's money being already added. So that just compounds the amount of extra dividend that you're getting to reinvest in that drip. So the speed at which that you could gain income is accelerated. And the best thing that could happen is the market falls apart. Kind of like what's happening this year, although dividends, our portfolio is right now.
Man.
But the realities are of what's happening. Like if there's volatility in dividends, you're getting even further ahead because you're buying on sale. This is the strategy is proven. It works very, very well. It's allowed a lot of people to retire over time.
And you talk about emotions, right? It allows our emotions to stay at, keep them at bay, because you don't get as concerned when you know you've got that predictability. Whereas when you're in growth stuff, you do get, it's hard to sleep at night.
Well,
sometimes.
and not only that, I think it steals our hope. You might have like 2 or 3 or 4 good years in growth, and then you have that really bad year, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just lost, whatever number, whatever percentage, and you're like, I'm back. I feel like I'm back to square one.
Yep.
With dividends, it's like, look, and the one thing I can't stand about custodians out there, they'll tell you all about your performance and the value of your account and what it was last month and last year or the last 3 quarters or whatever it is on the statement. On dividend, they don't tell you what you made last month or last year or last quarter. It's like it's gone.
It's just,
once it's reinvested, it's like, we're just moving on. But on the value, they really care. And that's very frustrating to a dividend investor. Yeah, it's so frustrating. All they care about is value. There's so much more to investing than value. All right, what are some takeaways? Any last takeaways?
I think you got to get clarity. You got to be disciplined about it, if it's a budget or whatever it is, and then just be consistent, especially if you're behind the 8 ball.
Well, and I liked one conversation that we had about the time to learn how much you need in retirement is not the year before, right? Start learning about yourself now and your spending habits, what you need. I always say, pick your 3 things that you're not going to hold yourself accountable on, right? If it's
Why do you look mad?
What's that?
Why do you look mad? What's your 3 things? This is a happy 3 things or a really bad 3 things?
Pick your 3 things that you're going to splurge on that are going to make you so happy. And then hold yourself disciplined and consistent to kind of that saving so that you can be ready for the future. You threw my whole thought off, but I still love you. But no, don't think my headline.
Sure, you can afford your splurges though too.
Yeah, fair enough. But build them in, and then build in that freedom line on your budget sheet. It feels really, really good because you feel like you did just purchase something, right? And you're really proud, and that kicks in. You kicked off with emotions. That plays a really nice. It gives you a nice feeling on your emotions.
Budget queen.
Cause you to stick with
Budget
it.
Queen.
Budget queen.
Read The Millionaire Next Door book. People who budget. The Millionaire Next Door, the one that has the most, you ask them what their number one thing is, they will tell you a budget. They stick to a budget, and they love it. So anyway.
Could you spell that?
Well, you guys are so busy picking on
How many U's are in that?
Some of those happy people we were referencing earlier, they got a lot more than they show in their driveway and in their house and on their vacation trips in the hotels they stay at. Anyway. Guys, just in case you don't know, if you want to, you subscribe if you want to watch Nikki get beat up on. Feel free to throw me like a line because I need some help. Anyway.
Any last thoughts?
Just, I would say it's never too late. Being a 50-year-old with a little toddler, it's never too late for anything.
Plugging his son anytime he can plug him.
He's so stinking
that's
cute.
awesome.
There's plenty of time left to strategize and get a plan together. That's all I would say.
Hope you enjoyed today's show. God bless.